of honor and reviewing officer for today's historic occasion, His Excellency.
The problem we have is that the fruit of his labor have not yielded results yet for most Nigerians.
During the 2023 presidential election campaign, Tinubu said that the PDP, the Labour Party, and other opposition parties are going to labor in vain. But as it stands now, I really don't know who is laboring in vain, because it is becoming obvious that everything Tinubu claimed that he knows was lies. Even his claim that he built Lagos, I was telling people, forget about the conspiracies of Tinubu, that Tinubu did not build Lagos. It was the British that first built Lagos before Nigeria now made Lagos the Federal Capital Territory. Just imagine tomorrow, maybe Abuja will have a governor when FCT will move away from Abuja, and someone will claim that he built Lagos. Now, someone who built Lagos could not even build anything in Nigeria. Well, there is a trending video going viral online. Take a look.
Of the reviewing officer, the special guest of honor and reviewing officer for today's historic occasion, His Excellency President Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, was born on 29 March.
Yes, that was Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, fallen when he was climbing the car that wanted to take him around. Well, I told people falling is a normal thing, you know. Anyone can fall, but this is an indication that this man is weak. He is very, very weak. Just like Joe Biden fallen off when he was climbing an aeroplane. I don't have any issues with that anyway. Now, let us go and face into the business of the day. You must have seen the democracy speech of Tinubu. It's a very voluminous, it's very long, about an hour speech. They wrote it for him, so he was reading it. Now, what he read is totally different from the reality. So it is still game that they are playing. Let's listen to how this professor reacted to the Tinubu speech today.
The problem we have is that the fruit of his labor have not yielded results yet for most Nigerians. If we want to be objective, where at the moment now, he says the way we've been doing it has been wrong. And he used a good expression. It's not my expression, but, you know, it's the kind of expression people like him use, the social democratic kind of people. He talked about economic democracy. We must admit that under him, we're not doing well on that one. You know, that must be very clear. We shouldn't dance around it if we have a conscience. Well, the problem with governance is that you don't judge it on intention, you judge it on facts. Until we see the fact, we can't say it's good. You know, you might have very good intentions, and this government is high on intentions, but until you actually bring the food to the table, nobody can say how good you are, a chef or cook. That's the problem we have with that. So, you know, as he says, wait, we just have to wait. The other side of it is that whilst waiting, what we can't do, though, is demand. We can demand, for example, that the government stop being wasteful, you know. So a government that says, wait, we're working for you, should not be sending 19 billion on Hajj. A government that says, wait, we're working for you, should not be splashing money on new cars for legislators, as if they came to Abuja without cars. You know, they did have cars. Perhaps the government who says, wait, we're working for you, should not be renovating houses with billions, not as if the roofs were leaking. Those are the kind of contradictions you get. It might sound populist because overall, those amounts will not change the economy. I say this as an economist. You know, it's not that if you don't buy cars, all of a sudden the Nigerian economy will be better. No, it's just as it sends a wrong signal. And somebody who, perhaps not hero, let's, you know, some of the soldiers of democracy, who the president is, those things should be understood, that it is important to send the right signals in democracy as well.
In addition, it seems that the war between Tinubu and the Labour Union is becoming real. Because today is the first democracy speech that a president of Nigeria did not recognize the Labour Union, their effort, everything they do to make sure that Nigeria achieve this democratic process, even though we are not even receiving the dividends of the democracy. So Tinubu sidelined, or he skipped, I think that is the right word to use, he skipped the Labour Union, Nigerian Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, everything, he skipped them. He did not even mention them in his democracy speech. Well, I'm not surprised, because today is like a day of grace. Tomorrow, the Labour Union are waiting that if Tinubu did not agree with what they said, they will go back to indefinite strike. So I think this is a beef taken to the extent of omitting them in a democracy speech. But that does not take, well-meaning Nigerians not to talk about the truth, because this government have enough money, they embezzle it, they put it into different places that will not benefit the poor masses.
Now, our country is said to be broke. Please, take it from me. Senator, Nigeria is not broke. We are made broke by the government and the policies of the government. One, and I'm just going to give you a few examples where we can raise over $100 billion in 6 months, and people are wasting our lives. The government has said that fuel subsidy is gone. Today, it's now been admitted that in the last 1 year, 5.4 trillion has been spent on importing fuel subsidy. 5.4 trillion. 2. And why are we importing fuel? Because they collapse our refineries. But the refineries will come on board very soon. The Dangote refinery will come. We are also partners of the Dangote refinery. Nigeria is said to have own 20% because when Dangote had problem, Nigeria took a loan of $2.7 billion and gave to Dangote. But beyond that, the land, very expansive area, not a dime was paid for it. They call it free economic zone. You take my land, you give it to somebody else. They have not paid compensation, we're in court. 2, all the machinery were imported, duty free. The entire machines were imported under the MFLA official rate. So when they say 20%, we are still going to sit down when that refinery takes off.
Many of us from the north are famed for cattle keeping. And when you are driving the cattle through different grazing grounds, the cattle believe that you love them so much because you protect them from the elements, because you protect them from other wild animals. But if the cattle were to know that you are the one who would end up eating them, they would treat you very differently. Invariably, they do not know. And therefore, you will continue controlling them the way you do, and you will continue eating them the way you do. But it's a totally different case when you are leading human beings. They are not like cattle. You may lead them in a particular direction. You may think that you have lulled them into a false sense of security. You may think that you have deadened their minds. But always remember that one day, if you don't do that which is good and right for your fellow men, there is a day of reckoning. There is a day of reckoning, and history has demonstrated that it can come in the twinkling of an eye. History has demonstrated that kings have been toppled. History has demonstrated that presidents have been removed. History has demonstrated that great men have been cut down. History has demonstrated that men can rise when they are misled. History has demonstrated that men are indeed capable of rising up. You know, I always read these words of the American Declaration of Independence because I love them. They apply to humanity. Before America became what it is, they had enlightened men. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are born equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it is for these reasons that governments are instituted amongst men. And that when those governments fail to perform, it is the duty of those people to rise up and to remove such governments.